Okay, Gloria, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Greg. I will call to order the Upper Arlington Public Library Board of Trustees meeting of Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks. I just want to express appreciation for, once again, all the donations that we continue to receive. That's wonderful. And I would also just like to extend my appreciation to Patty Landis for serving on our library staff for a number of years. And obviously, she was a well-respected, really loved staff member and did phenomenal things in terms of building our collection, saving money, and had a great personality, was full of cheer all the time. So I'm sure she will be missed. And Beth will probably comment about what they're doing in terms of trying to replace her, or how they're going to do that. So just wanted to say those things. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. I don't see any public, so we'll skip over that, and I'll recognize Kate Porter to give her report.
Okay, thanks, Gloria. Just wanted to provide an update on being reopened here at the Tremont Library. So we are in our third week of allowing browsing in the adult department, in the media department, and in the youth services department. You can pick up your holds and check them out, and you can make your computer reservation and use computers. So that, I'm happy to report, has gone very well. I think we all were overwhelmed by all of the positive comments we received from our patrons that were, I'm just so happy to be back in the building. I'm just so happy I can go browse. So that made us all feel really good about what we've done. We are the open Monday through Thursday. I think we talked about that a little before, and Friday and Saturday it's curbside only at the moment. As we can hire staff and move forward, we would want to expand those services, of course. And I know there were some questions about, well, gosh, how busy will we be when the library reopens? And so we had kept some stats here for the past few weeks, and we had set up, maybe we shared this before or not, I'm not sure. We shared that we had set up maximum capacities by department based on square footage and that kind of thing. And once we looked at the average number of visitors per hour compared to the numbers we set for the departments, it's very, very low. So in our atrium area, for example, if you've been in where the computers are in our temporary reference desk, we're hitting about averaging 4 people or so an hour. Adult, about 2 people or so an hour. The average per hour, I mean. Media, just about 1 person is the average, and youth about 3, except for, we'd say, after school it does get a little bit busier. And the capacities we'd set for each department are, atrium was 30, adult 30, media 10, and youth 20. So we're very pleased. We're here to welcome more visitors, I think, to the library. The only thing I would say is masks were a bit of an issue, but certainly not a major one. That's something we've had to, remind folks from time to time, but certainly not anything overwhelming. And we know we've been asked for being open more hours on Fridays and Saturdays. So we're working toward that. And we know we've been asked for more services at the branches, and we're working toward that as well. So I don't know if Beth has anything to add about that, but
did you want to talk about staffing, Kate, and what the positions that we have posted, and so working towards those goals?
Well, sure. Right now we're in the midst of our media department staffing. We had created that new manager position that we're actively interviewing for. We also created a full-time public service associate to help address some staffing needs. And unfortunately, our technology and media librarian, Donna, who I'm sure you've all met and talked to before, had moved to a different position. So we have that position open as well, we're working toward. Our other plans are really working to get circulation into a better spot so they can offer and handle all the curbside services in addition to their regular services, because we are still borrowing from Lane Road and borrowing from other departments to make all that happen. And we recognize at some point we need to send everyone back so they can offer services at the branches as well. I think we posted, I guess I can tell you it's public knowledge too that Tracy, our youth services manager, announced she's retiring in May. And so you'll see her position posted. In addition, we posted some facilities positions too right at the moment. So we had been so careful, in not filling things right away because of our concerns about the funding. We were feeling a little better, and it's time to bring on some more staff so we can continue to move in a forward direction.
Kate, how many people do you need to beef up the circulation area?
Well, right now we've posted 2 positions, and we plan to post 4 more because we've added a service point that they didn't have before in the curbside service role. So you'll see 2 posted now, and you'll see we don't want to post them all at once. It's hard to interview for like positions all at once. Plus, a department can't absorb that many people all at once. So you'll see these 2, and you'll see another 2 in a couple of weeks, and another 2 in a few more weeks there. But yeah, it's going really well. So yeah,
Good, thanks.
don't be alarmed when you see all of those positions out there. It's all in the forward direction.
Yeah, and we made sure that, that it's still under our budget. As we look at finance committee, we felt very comfortable posting those positions. A lot of the positions that we're posting again we're filling positions that we didn't expect to lose, like Donna's position. And the other thing I would say is the other reason why we're not posting the other circ positions is we're still keeping track of curbside. We really don't know. I mean, it's still heavily utilized, but as things progress, we may see that drop considerably as far as the amount of people coming through curbside versus coming into the building. So we just have to keep an eye on that.
Okay, good. And have they been posted long enough that you're getting responses or applications?
Some were just posted yesterday and today, actually, and then a few were in the previous week. So yeah, we are, we're getting a number of applicants actually for the positions. So, and one thing I should have mentioned earlier is, as we've noted, that we're just not as busy as we were in pre-pandemic times. And I know Beth's probably shared that before as well, that's similar to other libraries in the community. So it's not, people are in different routines right now and still getting back to feeling comfortable doing all those things we used to do.
Right. Okay, good to hear. That's great. Okay, any questions for Kate? Other ones, that is? Okay, thank you, Kate. And then we can go to Beth. She has lots of things to tell us.
Lots to talk about. So we concluded our marketing study. It was a 6-week process. We used Stacy McIntyre and Corey Kerr Consulting. And they helped us collect and analyze data on our current marketing. And it was around 3 specific areas of focus. The perceived value and awareness of the library in the community, understanding support for the upcoming levy, and assessing the effectiveness of our current marketing efforts. So she conducted staff interviews, 9 different staff interviews, community interviews with community members. She did 26 of those. Conducted a staff workshop. She actually did 5 of them because we had staff broken up into smaller groups. And a quantitative survey that resulted in about 740 residents filled out that survey. It was over 800, but we were really looking at the resident only data because we were asking questions specifically about the levy. So the findings, the community sees the library as an essential and a vital resource for education, culture, and social services, a place for books and resources. That really came across loud and clear. But there was a unawareness of some of the other things that the library provided. So we definitely know that we have an opportunity for a better marketing strategy to bring awareness around some of the other offerings that the library provides. The levy, the respondents to the survey, both in the interviews and in the online survey, they want a better understanding of the vision of the library. They just want to know if we're going to be asking them for additional revenue or even just a renewal, they really want to know what it's going to be used for. How much is this going to cost a homeowner? How are you spending your current funds? And what do you see as a library in the future? What future plans do you have for this revenue? So I have a lot of data with specific questions that I was going to share in regards to what specific information that they want, and figured that we could share that when we have our discussions about levy. The marketing piece, as far as how we're marketing and how the respondents of the survey like to receive information, we kind of knew this. A good portion of them prefer email communications. They get emails from us, from the city, from the schools. They like to use the website, and about 40% still prefer printed materials. But that they're still not aware of all of the different things that the library does and provides. So I just thought that was pretty interesting, how they prefer to receive their information.
Yeah, I was surprised too at that, Beth, that they're 40%. So, we've got to be cognizant of those people and have multiple avenues to reach them. It hasn't shifted as much as I thought it would have.
Yeah, and I think, we have some in-house printed materials, and we do have information that goes out in UA Insight that is collected by all the households, but we are going to try our hand at a direct mailing piece later this in the spring, prepping for Summer Reading Club. And we're going to see how effective that marketing piece is going to do, because if people do prefer print and we don't do direct mailing other than UA Insight, that may be something that we need to invest in the future.
Okay.
So I'm excited to try that. The staff, the interviews that Stacy did with the staff, even our staff they want greater clarity around our key priorities and our key values. What are the things that we really want to highlight? Because we do so much. And they want to see us expand our outreach services, increase our use of volunteers, which is sort of problematic at the moment, just due to the pandemic. And they also want to see more advocates and ambassadors in the community to help spread the message for the library. And I'm really happy to say that there was a lot of talk about the utilization of our services and our space being used better. And we know use of space is part of our strategic plan. So I felt really glad that aligned, and that staff are excited about that. Of course, use of space we won't really be able to take a look at that until we're using our space in our normal way again. So it'll probably be a little while before we do that study. So what do we need to do? The recommendations from the marketing study was to define the library's purpose as a critical part of the community in relation to other city amenities, finding out where we fit, determining how the library aligns with the community's perception. We got a lot of really good information on the things that our community values about us. And so really tying in our values with the community's values and really identifying those. Then preparing for the levy, which we definitely know that, engaging the community. We understand what they want to know. So getting that information together and starting to engage the community, which I already have, going out and talking about, letting people know our financial situation at the different Rotary groups. And I will be putting out our annual report that will go out in UA Insight as well. So it's really engaging the community now, getting them as much information as possible, and then knowing that we're going to have a lot more communicating that we have to do in regards to the ask and why, and what is it going to be used for. Promotion of UAPL offerings. So we need to, once we have our values and I'm really tying the community perception and the library perception together, identifying those core services that feed into those values. And then allocating resources to really promote those specific services to drive utilization. We want to promote those services based on the patron's perspective. Stacy had worked with us on a workshop called Jobs to Be Done, and it was helping the staff understand that when a patron comes to the library, they are trying to accomplish something. So it's not just about getting a book on home repair. It's to get the thing that they're trying to fix at home fixed. They're trying to do it better or more cost effectively. So understanding that there are lots of other programs and resources that tie into that job to be done that they're doing. And it was really a neat way to look at it. It was almost looking outside in, which I thought was fascinating. So we are going to be working on key message development around our values and our services, creating new content and tracking those. We are in the process, Jen and my community engagement person and Chris Minks, our marketing communications manager, are working together on beginning our advocacy program. You will see an advocacy newsletter coming out in preparation for Legislative Week, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then we will, through our data analysis piece of our strategic plan, we will be gathering information for our social media strategy, media relations strategy, and Greg will be working with IT and marketing on a website audit. So, just a few things that we're doing as a result. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I had for the marketing study. I gave a lot of information, and that's honestly the slides that I shared with you were only about half of the slides that were presented to me. So there was a lot more information. I tried to cut it down for you and just give you the highlights. Are there any questions about marketing, the marketing study, or next steps, or what we're doing before I move on to Legislative Week?
Yeah, just one question. We worked last two meetings a little bit on strategic plan. How does this impact what you would plan to do in the strategic plan, and how does it fit into that dovetail with everything else?
Well, it's interesting because I think this fits in with our data analysis piece of our strategic plan, because a lot of the data that she gathered is data that we're going to be using to come up with our, to create that marketing and communications plan. So really we have all this information. And so now we have to figure out, how do we want to measure success when it comes to marketing strategy? So we will create a marketing and communications committee. I'm assuming it will be me and Chris and Jen and some other members of the staff. But I think this came in such a nice timing way with what we were trying to do with data analysis. And I think it'll really give us a leg up on our marketing and communications plan for strategic plan. So yeah, I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, and I was thinking also of the next steps, how we just make sure those dovetail. Like you said, you got a lot to do, and
yeah,
fit in with the plans you have, as well as what we do next steps here.
Yeah, I mean, really right now it's going to be focusing on advocacy, awareness, and levy prep. Those are the top three things that we're pulling from this data from this study first. And those are the key areas of focus because those are really timely. And then the second part of it will be taking some of the data and coming up with that marketing and communications plan that will flow into next year.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah, one of the things Stacy told me when I talked to her is one of the things she wanted to look at is to see if there were any differences between heavy users and non-heavy users. Did any of that pop up?
I think she did look at, there was a data set in there that talked about the number, there were about 80% of the people that filled out the survey were self-identified heavy users of the library. That was really the only piece I remember for as in regards to that.
Okay, well, that's what you would expect, and it's important to listen to them, but if we want to go beyond that, we have to figure out what it is we're not hearing about.
Right, and I think one of the comments that was made, and she did reach out to various groups, and I will say it was hard to get people to want to talk that didn't use the library to the library. But there was one comment, and I did add that comment sheet in there too, and I don't know if any of you saw it, that one of the comments that was made during an interview was just because we don't vote yes for the levy doesn't mean we don't support the library. Which I thought was a really interesting concept. So I think we've got some work to
Because
do.
I don't pay you a salary doesn't mean that we don't appreciate the work you do.
Right? Yeah. So I think it's educating the community. It's really educating on how their tax dollars are used. What does it go for, and how it is going to help us be successful and provide the services that we provide to the community, and understanding what they value, what the community values from us, and really, really talking about that a lot.
Okay, good. Well, it's a huge amount of information, I think.
Yeah.
A lot to digest. I would encourage you to use as much of it as you can, because I think it's a lot of good information here.
It was a lot of really good information, and I think that the section, there were probably 6 or 7 pages that were just about the levy. And a lot of it, unfortunately, because we don't really know what we're asking for yet, people didn't, a lot of it was more like, well, I just need more information. I can't tell you how I would feel about it unless you tell me what you're asking for. So it's sort of a chicken and egg issue. But yeah.
Well,
Okay.
any other questions about the survey? Anybody?
If you want the whole packet, I can get it to you. It'll take you a while to get through it, but well, so speaking of the advocacy program, Legislative Week is coming up. It's April 5th through April 9th. I met with Jen and Chris earlier today for community engagement and marketing to talk about how we are going to engage the community and the board and the staff. Preparing for Legislative Week. There's a lot of really good information that's going to be shared. I have some of it was in your packet. I highly encourage you, if you are available, to attend the virtual session, the kickoff to Ohio Library Week. There will be Mike DeWine and the First Lady will be there to talk about libraries, and we'll be talking about our advocacy efforts in that first week. So I highly encourage you to be a part of that. We're going to be sharing a lot of things via social media. We will send out our first newsletter, our advocacy newsletter, with some of these dates and how you can share and use the hashtag Ohio Library Week. There are specific things that we are going to highlight each week. So for example, on Tuesday, we're going to be sharing on social media about what the library is doing to help job seekers, employers, and entrepreneurs and small businesses. On Wednesday, we're going to be talking about how the library helps Ohioans connect to the internet and technology. On Thursday, it'll be talking about the educational gap caused by the pandemic and how libraries are helping, and that'll be even better to prepare for Summer Reading Club and talk about the summer slide. And then Friday, we're going to talk about what the library's been doing over the past year during the pandemic, and sharing that OLC ROI calculator and your return on investment. When you invest in libraries, you're investing in your community. So lots of good stuff to come for Legislative Week. We're going to be all over social media. I highly encourage you to get involved, and definitely if you have a chance to watch the webinar, even if you don't get to attend, I'm sure it'll be recorded and I'll share that with you. Oh, I think you're muted.
I have already communicated with Allison Rousseau, who was very appreciative and says she's thinking, but I mean, I think we need to keep on communicating with her. So I would encourage all of you to just send her an email or something, if nothing else.
Well, we will have information in the advocacy email with talking points. Specifically, right now, they are listening to budget testimony, and we're really trying to get legislators to keep the public library fund at the current 1.7%. It's slated to expire and go back down to 1.66, which would mean a loss of revenue. So I've emailed her as well as Kunze, and I'm trying to get those points across as well. But we'll give talking points to people that are interested. And if you're signed up for that newsletter, we'll share that information with you as well.
Great, thanks.
Great. Okay. The last thing I have for my director's report is I wanted to share some information with you on a hot topic as of late, the Dr. Seuss discontinued books. I gave a cover sheet for you to kind of give the background and the context and the information. Basically, the publishers for Dr. Seuss issued a statement that they were discontinuing publication of 6 of the Dr. Seuss books for content that they considered to be harmful to people, specifically people of color. And we do own copies of each of the books. We met with the children's department to have a discussion on what we should do. And it's a tricky subject because on one hand, the library stands by the freedom to read statement, which is that we are opposed to censorship. And, it is not our mission to pull books off the shelf and make them not available. Just because we have a book in the library doesn't mean that we condone or believe in the content that's in the item. However, in the same vein, we are advocates of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we want to make sure that we don't have materials that are deemed harmful to people. So we had a long conversation about it, and the one area that kept coming up over and over again is that we do have, if a patron or someone has an objection to something that we have in the collection, they can fill out, what is that form called, Kate?
It's request for review of library materials.
They can fill out a form. They have to have read the material in its entirety so that they, and provide reason why they think this material should not be in the library. And then that is reviewed by a committee. And the difference in this case is this is not a patron coming in and saying that this is a book that they want removed. These books were discontinued by the publisher, and the publisher is the one that had come out and made the statement that they felt that these books were harmful. So our recommendation, because again, we are opposed to censorship, is that we would reclassify these 6 books into our reference collection instead of having them at our youth department. That way they're still accessible. If anyone wants to see them and view them, they would be still in our collection, but they wouldn't be circulated among our other youth materials. So I provided the freedom to read statement, our collection development policy, the article that was published in the paper. And so I wanted to open it up to get the board's input and ask if there's, and just have a discussion.
Beth, for what it's worth, I think that's a balanced decision, given what you're dealing with. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
So if somebody does a catalog search on one of those books, do they just end up going to the reference department then to get the book? So it's not inhibiting them in any way they just can't leave the reference department with the book. Is that right?
Correct. Now we do have there are other copies available in the system, so they could get it from another library, and there are also digital copies available. And I don't think there are any plans, at least not that I'm aware of, to pull those from digital downloads. But as far as our physical copies, they would have to come to the reference department to view them, and they would not be allowed to check them out.
I like how we're not censoring, so we're still making these titles available to readers who want to see them, but we're not promoting them as appropriate for children by keeping them in the children's section. It's reference. I think Beth, you mentioned there's maybe a possibility of putting them in the historical section, or is that a different?
Yeah, so there's we do have an Ohio history room, and it's information and materials that are related to Ohio, and that this really isn't in that area, but we do still have, I reached out to reference to have them help me clarify and define what our reference materials are. And really our reference materials are just non-circulating repository of books that is both national and local in scope. And so I think that because they do provide historical context, I think in some capacity, if someone was doing research and wanted these materials, that they could come and look. So.
No, I totally agree with the decision, Beth. Because, I don't want us to censor, but I think we need to be sensitive as well. And this gives us a chance to, have it there for research, but not have it circulated.
I think it's a good decision as well. I think, just out of curiosity, I just have one more question. If somebody requests this through the website and there's no copy available, well, I guess copies would always be available at Tremont. Will there be any copies available at the other branches? My question really is, if somebody requests this, would there be a possibility that it would be put in the hold section and they could get it that way?
Yeah, more than likely. So what would end up happening is the holds would be fulfilled by another library. So they would still be able to request it from any of our branches, but it would probably come from Columbus, or, one of the other libraries would fulfill those holds. From what I know of how the other libraries are handling it, I don't think that they are following our lead as far as putting them in reference. I know Columbus is going to keep them in the collection. That was the last I had heard. So they should be available.
I agree I think this is a thoughtful decision, and you all come to a general agreement on it in the staff. So I think it's very good.
Well, and I do just want to say a huge thank you publicly to our youth department. It was a really thoughtful discussion, and our youth services manager Tracy had even reached out to a couple of our staff members that that this would actually impact them, and got their information too. And so she had pulled resources together. She scheduled the meeting. She facilitated the discussion. And I'm really proud of the way that the staff handled it. And I think, this sets a precedent for us going forward. And it was really, we had given them, would you want these materials in the children's department? Do you want to move them? Whatever decision you deem appropriate, we will back you up 100% and bring that to the board. So.
Good. Thank you. Any other comments?
And I also support the decision. I think it's really well balanced. Now, if there were a case where, so I'm looking in the article and it talks about how one library decided to place their copies into like a local holding only.
Yeah, Fairfield.
If all of the libraries decide to do that, do we need to revisit to allow someone to request it?
More than likely they would. I don't think I would be, yes, I think we could revisit it at the time. I don't think that will happen. We would have to have 17 libraries, including Columbus, do that. And plus there are digital copies available that you can get them on your phone. And like I said, I don't think that those are going to be pulled. But in the meantime, if I do find out that the libraries are all relegating their holds to local only for those copies, or moving them all to reference, and there won't be access unless you go to a physical location, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Great.
Any other comments? Thank you, Beth, for that report on all those extensive things, sort of. And we'll hear more, I know, about the marketing study and how that will work along with our strategic plan, and as we move farther along with our levy planning as well. So, I haven't talked to Stacy McIntyre, right? Is it Stacy? I can't remember her first name.
Yeah, Stacy.
I know you expressed your appreciation. I think she did a phenomenal job, really.
Yeah.
Really appreciate what she and her staff did for us. So would like to be sure she knows that. Okay. If there are no other questions for Beth, Finance Committee, if you want to talk to us about that, Kevin or Lori?
I can start off with the highlights from our meeting. We did meet last week, and went through the results. The results continue to be very strong, surprisingly strong in some ways. We're a little bit ahead on the revenue side. The Public Library Fund continues to exceed our expectations. And that includes an assumption that we go back to the lower funding rate later this year, even though we'd certainly like it to stay at the 1.7%. But the biggest driver of the results is really on the spending side. And most of that is in salaries and benefits. And that's kind of a best case scenario. So there's probably going to be some coming back, I guess, closer to budget as we start to fill some of these open positions. But overall, the numbers still look very strong. And we had 2 resolutions that we want to put forward for the board to consider. Lori, I might let you go ahead and just talk through the financials before we discuss those in more detail.
Okay. I did want to let the board know that the accounting firm showed up today. So our audit has started for 2019 and 2020. I did get the March PLF today. We have been waiting on that. It was actually 29% higher than anticipated. So almost $50,000 higher than what I had originally thought we would get. So far this quarter, the first quarter, is 23% higher. We're $135,000 ahead just on the first quarter. So with that, the finance committee decided to go ahead with the raise. We had budgeted for this raise back in the fall when we did plan on the budget, but we were remaining cautious and wanted to see what happened this first quarter before we went ahead with the raise. So we are looking to pass that, and the committee decided to make it retroactive back to the beginning of the year, since we normally do pass those increases in December. Regarding the resolutions, we do have a contract with Meta. We joined that consortium to save on electric costs, and you'll see by the cover sheet in there, we've saved quite a bit since we have signed on with them. That contract is coming to an end, and Meta will put out a request for proposals to get other energy distributors to take over that next contract. But before they can do that, they have to have a resolution from the board that they can act on our behalf to seek those bids. Once they do come in, they will notify me so that we can see just where we are on those bids and what the price would be. So that's why we need to pass that tonight. And then the other, of course, as we mentioned, is the salary resolution. Any questions regarding any of the PLF or finances?
It's nice to see those. Oh, sorry, John.
Go ahead, Gloria.
We're still doing so well with the PLF, and the what am I trying to say here? Oh, the lower cost electric costs were because we were closed.
Not necessarily. It might have played a small role, but we still had the utilities on. I guess Greg could speak better to that. But even with back up and running just this year, January and February alone, our costs are 22% down. But we have been saving. It's been an ongoing savings. And it also helped that we replaced all the lighting with the LED lighting that cut down a lot of costs. And not only did we reduce our costs, but we got a nice rebate from the electric company for taking that action, replacing all the lights.
Okay, good.
I think Lori nailed it. And being closed did help. I mean, we certainly weren't running as many lights and running as much heating and air conditioning during that time. But it's a good time to call out the work of our facilities manager, Steve Benson, and all of the energy conservation efforts that he's undergone, including all the lighting replacements and a hot water tank replacement at Lane Road that I know is saving us on gas as well.
John, were you going to say something?
It's okay.
Anybody else? Okay, Lori, go ahead.
Well, if we want to move forward regarding the resolution For Meta, unless anyone has any questions or concerns, Gloria can call for a motion on that.
Do I have a motion to pass the Meta resolution?
Moved.
A second?
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, indicate your preference by saying aye or aye. Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I have
Any
to do a roll
opposed?
call vote.
Oh, you need to have a roll call. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Sorry, Allison. I missed
And
that.
we'll do it for the next one too, so.
Okay.
Kevin Fix,
Aye.
Stephen Flynn,
Aye.
Peter Hahn,
Aye.
Kate Hare,
Aye.
Gloria Heidloff,
Aye.
William Shakurdi,
Aye.
John Yesso.
Aye.
Okay. It appears the resolution passed unanimously. Thank you, Allison. Okay. And then the next resolution, Lori, anything else you want to say?
Kevin may have something. Do you have anything regarding the Finance Committee and the raises?
I would just say from the committee's perspective, I mean, given the strength of the numbers that we're seeing so far this year, we support the salary increase and we support making it retroactive to January 1st.
Yes, I totally concur. I think our staff has, done a phenomenal job, and I'm just really glad we're able to do this. So, do I have a motion to pass the resolution?
So
Or
moved.
do I have a motion to? Yes, sorry. Did I miss that? Okay.
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, Allison?
Kevin Fix,
Aye.
Stephen Flynn,
Aye.
Peter Hahn,
Aye.
Kate Hare,
Aye.
Gloria Heidloff,
Aye.
William Shakurdi,
Aye.
John Yesso.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion passes again unanimously. Thank you, Allison. Okay, anything else from the Finance Committee?
No.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Thank you, Kevin. The Operations Committee did not meet in March. I don't think I have anything else. I said most of it early on. Just, again, express our appreciation to all the staff. And I was in the library today. It seems to be functioning beautifully. And Beth was able to show me just briefly the youth garden, or I'm not sure that's what we're calling it, but I think that's and it's coming along, and I think it's going to be incredibly impressive. So I was glad to get a chance to see that. Any other comments? Anything else for the good of the order that we need to discuss? Our next board meeting will be on Tuesday, April 20 at 5 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you all very much. I apologize for my missteps. Everybody take care, and